Hello and welcome to the Game Show Global Esports Cup CIS Region Land Qualifier. I'm Grandis V, and hopefully I'll be joined by Denali, but right now she's having some sort of issue with her Skype, but we should be able to get her on the line momentarily. Welcome to the stream, Denali, and this is going to be a two-game series between Newteam and Hellraiser. Should be a pretty good one. Both of these teams are very potent under ideal circumstances for both of them. Should be a pretty aggressive match and a very entertaining one at that. So hopefully we'll be able to get Denali back into Dota and back into the game. Hopefully they'll pause
Yeah.
for you as well.
So I am here, right? You can hear me and everything?
Yes.
Yes? Okay. So this is Hellraisers against, sorry, who's the other team? Here we go, Hellraisers and
Newteam.
New Team now. I
Yeah.
managed to take a look at the leaderboard, and we've got Hellraisers on top. They've won every single game, so you take a look at Hellraisers and you have to say that they will be the favorites between these two teams, whereas I never really got to see New Team's game style, so for me, they are a pretty ambiguous team. I'm not really sure what I'm expecting. Have you managed to cast any of New Team's games?
Not in this tournament and not at this LAN. All of their other games have been on the primary stream for the Azubu Game Show coverage. So this will be interesting to see them at this tournament, how they perform. But in general, they've been doing all right, and as a whole, they've been holding their own against a lot of the other CIS region teams. They have a lot of individual talent when it comes to their players, and that definitely could pull them through. But as you said, Hellraisers are on a bit of a tear throughout this group stage and throughout this tournament. The overlay is a little bit messed up there, but that won't bother us too much. Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see how they adapt to this draft and how they play as a whole. New Team, I think, are one of the teams that could knock down Hellraisers. Maybe not out of their top slot, but at least pull a draw out of them and make the series go 1-1.
Yeah, honestly, if I was New Team, I'd be looking at least just grabbing a draw. Getting a 2-0 will be incredibly difficult. If they do, it'll be a godsend because it's going to shove them close towards the top section of the leaderboard. So it's pretty good if they can get it, but they're going to have to work really hard, or Hellraisers would have to misstep a couple of plays and potentially lose two games off of, you could say, mistakes, because that's where a lot of teams lose their games. They make a couple of mistakes and the game snowballs for their opposition. So if Hellraisers continues to play the way they have so far, then there should be an easy 2-0 sweep. So we'll see if New Team can give them a run for their money. Now, ban-wise, we've got Bounty Hunter and Tusk taken out of the pool by Hellraisers, whereas New Team, they prioritize the Darkseer and the Winter Wyvern. So we've got one side getting rid of Control and the other side getting rid of Roaming potential. And here we go, we're going to grab a first pick, Doom.
He's been very popular this tournament and in the last couple of weeks across the scene as a whole. An incredibly versatile hero with the ways that you can play him, and is a lot stronger in the laning stage, especially with those extra points into Scorched Earth, making it almost impossible to kill him once he hits like level 7, and in the offlane should be able to reach that point pretty swiftly. And on the flip side of the coin, New Team going to pick up Night Stalker, a very aggressive hero that's going to fit the mold for their team. It is worth noting, I suppose, that New Team might be running with a stand-in. I think that's Undershock from Aspera and not Yoku, who they usually run with, and I'm not sure exactly what circumstances would arise that situation, and recovery's FN, so it would only be Undershock should there be a stand-in at all.
Yeah. So we're already seeing two aggressive heroes picked up by New Team. So this is an indicator that they want to bring the game to Hellraisers. They want to throw the aggression. They want the Night Stalker there with the silence and how mobile he is. You look at Night Stalker and you compare him to a lot of other heroes that you typically see for ganking. He is so mobile during the nighttime just because he has the Hunter in the night. He is so quick. It's very difficult to really kill him as well, just because he's a strength-based hero. He has a ton of HP to work with. So he'll be annoying for Hellraisers, but if Hellraisers can get their footing in this game, Night Stalker falls off relatively quickly. He simply turns into a utility hero. Puck is going to be the final pickup here for Hellraisers during the first phase, and I haven't seen a lot of Puck lately, but this hero is still relatively good. Very good utility mid. He has a silence which will be useful against the Queen of Pain, and the Dream Coil is an invaluable tool for any sort of team fight. But
It's really interesting that they
mid,
pick the
right?
Puck here. Yeah, okay, so Here's the rundown on the Puck. Puck versus Queen of Pain is a classic mid matchup, and it can go either way depending on the skill level of the players. It's a very even matchup, and I don't think after recent changes that has really altered much. But it's very interesting that they picked the Puck into a Night Stalker. Traditionally, one of the quote-unquote counters to Puck, just with that long duration crippling Fierce Silence, although they're probably not going to be laned against each other like they would maybe like a couple years ago. It still comes to the situation where a Puck that silence is incredibly useless, and that silence lasts so long during nighttime, and Hellraisers are willingly setting themselves up for this and picking up the Puck very early. That said, Aphonia plays an amazing Puck and might be taking that to the offlane for Hellraisers, and in general, Hellraisers do utilize the Puck hero very well, so I think it's a calculated risk for them, and in general, a very stable pick. As far as our bans are concerned, Earthshaker Omni Knight by Hellraisers will be taken away, and Phantom Lancer Huskar banned out by Newteam.
Yeah, so they get rid of some of the defensive supports that could be a little bit annoying for the Puck for Hellraisers, and Omni Knight, I very rarely see this hero. Have we seen it this tournament at all, or does this just look like a situational ban for you so that no one has to really deal with an Omni Knight?
I think we've seen one Omni Knight game, but I could be wrong, and it does feel more along the lines of just a situational ban for Hellraisers. Puck really doesn't want to have to deal with that magic community, and Hellraisers probably don't have any heroes that want to be building Diffusal Blade. The only hero that really mandates that in their build, Phantom Lancer, has already been banned out by Newteam, and could have been very annoying for them to deal with a repelled Night Stalker. Even though they're both melee heroes, that could have functioned well as an aggressive dual lane coming out from Newteam just by the nature of the tankiness of those two and the amount of sustain that they'd bring to bear. I don't know. It does feel like more of the situational ban. Maybe there's some other heroes that would have been better to ban out. I think Dazzle might be a little bit scarier than that Omni Knight, but up to Hellraisers, and I think it's a reasonable pick. For now, Newteam gonna snag up the Ancient Apparition for themselves.
Yeah, so this means that once they snag this Ancient Apparition, if Hellraisers wanted to go for any hero like Dazzle, yeah, you can rely on the Shallow Grave for an extra 5 seconds, but typically you're going to tick out to the Ancient Apparition Ice Blast anyway. So this means that if Hellraisers wants to go for the hero, it won't be ideal. They're going to grab the Spectre very early, though. So
This Spectre pick,
I don't mind grabbing it early, but it means that they're already revealing that they're going to be running a Spectre to Newteam. And then now Newteam can react to the Spectre pick and they can decide, are we going to go full-on 5-man team fight now? Or do we grab ourselves a hard carry as well and try to contest with the Spectre? The only hero I could really see going up against the Spectre would probably be Anti-Mage. Are there any other heroes that could play up against the Spectre? I feel like he might be the only one. Maybe Morphling?
It depends on the timing window you're looking to... If they're looking to take this late, yeah, you're probably going to have to look towards one of those super hard carries. But I think there are some heroes that are very good at dealing with the Spectre before that window comes to bear. Any natural Silver Edge carries that can play very aggressively, like a Slark, could be very interesting for a Newteam, and also not scale off too hard in the late game, although is very susceptible to being doomed. Once Slark is doomed, is pretty useless. It could be reasonable for their lineup, and instead it's going to be a Wraith King. This is somewhat of a counter to Doom, not in the conventional sense, but Wraith King's one of the few carries that's not going to be bothered too much by eating that Doom spell. He doesn't have very many active abilities. Losing the Wraithfire Blast inside these fights is hardly going to bother him at all, and even if he dies once, not going to be that big of a deal. So Newteam, although it's not going to combat up against the Spectre convincingly in the late game, or as convincingly as some other hero, it is still going to give them a nice window, and I think Wraith King in general is a pretty good pick. I was going to say a little bit earlier, Spectre in this draft functions also as a deny pick by Hellraisers. If they left that through to the pool, the global ganking presence coming out from Newteam could have been ridiculous, with a Haunt on top of an Ice Blast that can come at you from anywhere. You already touched on the map mobility of the Night Stalker and the Queen of Pain on top of that. So I think Newteam are just going to have to adjust things appropriately to get another carry that can join the fights, and maybe even a more convincing fashion. The Wraith King get an early Blink Dagger up on him and start fighting for a side of Newteam. Hellraisers on their team are going to pick up a Rubik.
I'm looking at both teams and it looks pretty even so far. No one's gone for any super greedy drafts, aside from maybe Hellraiser being a tiny bit greedy with this Doom pick, because if you can't get farm on Doom, He really cannot do anything for your team. He just probably throws in a couple of right clicks, steals the troll spell to have an ensnare, but that's about it. He needs that level 6 as soon as possible. So it looks very even as long as both teams can secure some amount of farm. We're waiting for this last ban for Hellraisers. This puck we touched on a little bit earlier, I feel like he has to go for Yule Scepter this game. There's a lot of burst damage, there's a lot of control, and if Puck gets silenced, that's going to be the end of the hero. He's not going to be able to get out of it. So I'm looking at Puck grabbing a Yule Scepter this game first, and then possibly following up with the Blink Dagger for an ease of initiation. Because look at Hellraisers. Who else is going to initiate aside from the Puck? They need another hero for initiation. It could be Doom, but he's just going to blink in and Doom, and that's only one hero under control.
I'll agree on the items that you decide Puck should go for, but the build order, I think, is entirely dependent on the state of the game and how the game is going. If Puck gets behind, going for that Yule Scepter probably a necessary evil for Hellraisers, but if Puck is feeling comfortable, I think they need that Blink Dagger up as soon as possible because you already touched on it. They don't have the greatest amount of initiation until Doom picks up a Blink Dagger or something along those lines, but even then, Doom's probably going to want to delay that Blink till a little bit later on after he picks up like a Hand of Midas or maybe Phased Drums or something like that. For Newteam now, they're going to pick up the Bane as another support for them. This is going to give them a decent amount of control inside these fights. If they could isolate the Spectre, that could be absolutely devastating. A mass amount of single target disable, but I suppose the disadvantage is he isn't going to be setting up for too many disables unless Ancient Apparition skills heavily into Cold Feet, which this game more than most might be very desirable. Hellraisers have a couple of elusive heroes here and there that could very well be chain locked down by the Wraithfire Blast. You drop the Cold Feet and then Nightmare them until the Cold Feet procs and then finish them off from there. I like Newteam's draft quite a bit. They have a lot of space inside the game where they're going to have a fighting advantage over Hellraisers.
They definitely do. And they need to win they need to win the lanes, honestly. Because you compare the two teams, and Newteam, they will very much use this early amount of farm better than Hellraisers. Because for Hellraisers, they can bunker down and possibly wait for the later portions of the game where the Spectre comes online a little bit more. So that means that they will have more ease of execution when it comes to team fights. Whereas for Newteam, their draft falls off if Queen of Pain or Night Stalker doesn't get their farm. They need the farm to be able to really put pressure on the map and keep Hellraisers at bay within their base, within their side of the map, so that they can't really get any of those counter kills. So we'll see how both teams manage to execute their drafts. Will it be Hellraisers or will it be Newteam? Who's going to take this first game? I'll introduce Newteam, who will be playing on the Radiant side. Up towards the top, we've got Seedoy, who's going to be handling our Night Stalker. Heading up towards the top room, we've got Undershock on our Queen of Pain, Gobbleck on our Bane, followed by No Fear playing on the Ancient Apparition, and finally down towards the bottom, we've got Recovery playing our Wraith King.
It should be FN on the Wraith King, and for the Dyer's side, they're going to have Hellraisers. Shashlo is going to be playing on the Doom, Goddamn on the Rubik. Aphonia is going to be playing on his Puck, and it's a very comfortable hero for him. Metrum is going to be handling the Witch Doctor, and last but not least, they'll have the Spectre handled by Dread. These bounty runes, looks like Radiant team should be able to secure the top bounty rune, Dire team should be able to secure the bottom bounty rune with nobody bumping into each other. That'll be a pretty even start to this game, all things considered. FN went down towards bottom, making sure that the Puck doesn't get a deep ward down, or the Doom. But they still do have some decent vision to at least spot out when the supports are pulling, although that ward won't block anything. The bounty rune going to be picked up by Aphonia, and the Queen of Pain also going to pick up a bounty rune up towards top. Mid lane should be pretty interesting. As I said in the draft, it's very close, and it's going to rely on support rotations and just the individual skill level of the players to see who gets an edge.
Unfortunately, I'm getting issues with Reborn. My screen has just turned navy blue, but it's not the Windows
Well, that's
problem.
not good.
I'm gonna
No
have
fear.
to figure out the trouble.
Going to be lifted up. Scorcher leveled up by Shashlo. They'll chase forward for this Ancient Apparition. He'll eat through the trees and tries to go towards the Ancients. There are no spawns there. He'll body block the spawn, gets smacked down by the Doom for first blood, drawn by Hellraisers. That's just such an awkward situation to have your Ancient Apparition find himself in, as no team just get one of their supports completely walled off from the rest of everybody else, and there was no safe place to run. Once you've already committed to try and look for the Ancient deny, there really wasn't another option for the AA, and unfortunately he body blocked the camp himself, so everything will go back to the way it was, but Hellraisers will find themselves with a slight advantage down this bottom lane. That Doom should be accelerating his farm quite nicely, although The disadvantage for going for that Scorched Earth level 1 is it's going to delay the Devour extra gold that's going to be going to Shatslow's pockets, and he won't have the ability to use one of those neutral creeps abilities inside his lane, which might hurt him a little bit for the first minute or so, but that's going to be fixed after this creep wave dies, and it should pretty swiftly.
Yeah, I'm having a lot of issues right now, so what I'm going to do is...
Just let me know when you're back.
Yeah, I'll give a quick restart and I will give you a call back.
Fair enough. Well, up towards the top lane, the Spectre Witch Doctor up against the Night Stalker Bane. This is a very annoying lane for the Spectre already. Paralyzing Gas is going to keep the Spectre pretty safe across the board, but Spectre's farm is going to be severely hampered with the amount of aggression that come out from Golblack and Seedoy. Very tanky heroes. As far as intelligence supports, Bane is pretty high up there when it comes to his base stats, and that Brain Sap also gives him a deceptive amount of effective HP inside this lane, so they can trade hits till the cows come home. And Spectre already struggles with last hitting. I'm interested to see if Golblack decides to go for a point and Feeble to make that even worse, although that's not something that a lot of Banes nowadays are doing. Down towards bottom, Goddamn is going to be isolated. This time it's the Root that get caught out of position with the Chilling Touch. They should be able to secure this kill. One more auto attack from the Ancient Apparition will follow him, and that will be a dead Rubik. And 1-for-1 the trade across the board. The kill score has been tied up, but Shashlo is still getting a good amount in this bottom lane. And interesting, the Doom is going to pick up the mana creep from the small camp. What were the other creeps that were available to him, I wonder? We'll go ahead and take a look at that. I'm not sure if anybody's going to die mid, but there is an Invis Golblack, so we'll have to keep an eye on that. Yeah, the other creeps that were available to him were stellar, and I think this extra mana regen is definitely going to help him spam out that Scorched Earth a little bit more, and the HP sustain is pretty ridiculous if you take a look at it. They won't be able to zone out this Doom anytime soon. Golblack with this Invis rune really wants to snipe out the Courier, but Puck still hasn't gotten his bottle. The Queen of Pain is out CSing the Puck pretty convincingly, although under tower, Phonia is going to pick up a couple extra more, and it's not like an unsurmountable lead by Undershock over the Puck, but it is still significant. It's going to mean this Invis rune isn't going to last long enough for Golblack to find the Courier snipe in the duration of that Invis. Up towards top lane, there is a dire ward on the ground that could potentially be rewarded by the Night Stalker. I'm not sure if he wants to commit his tango for it yet, but as soon as he takes a little bit of damage, maybe he'll decide to just take that ward away from the enemy team. It was placed down right in front of Seedoy, so he knows exactly where it was. For now, he's not going to let them know that they have True Sight around the corner. He's going to collapse onto Metrum with Golblack coming in from the right-hand side. They just don't have the damage, however. And with Voodoo Restoration, Witch Doctor's going to run away with without even having used the cast. But in mid lane, blink away. Queen of Pain's going to be under a tier 1 tower. A close call there with the two nukes coming out from the Fade Bolt and the Puck. But not going to be enough to secure those kills. They will eventually deward the Observer that was placed in the lane, so that vision away from Hellraisers. Now the only ward that remains for them is in that off-lane spot that really hasn't done very much for Satchelo, since the supports haven't been very interested in pulling, and rather have just tried to keep the Doom off of the Wraith King as much as possible. And to a reasonable amount of success. The Wraith King's farming 20-8 compared to the 15-2 on Doom, although they're not shutting down the Doom, they're also not getting the Wraith King shut down. Up towards top lane, there's going to be a fight brewing. A lift is going to disengage, but Seedoy is still running forwards. Doesn't have enough mana. His Queen of Pain's going to kill off the Doom. I didn't see that, and I'm not sure where that happened. It was down towards bottom lane. His Undershock rotates in with a Haste Rune. Ooh, sorry about that, guys. Still, that's going to be Newteam getting a slight kill advantage and across the board getting a little bit more CS than the enemy team. The Wraith King farming more than the Spectre, Queen of Pain more than the Quap, and Doom a little bit more than the Night Stalker, although that advantage is only slight.
So I just came back into the game, unfortunately, so I missed whatever kill has happened. But looking at the graph so far, it's looking pretty good for Hellraisers. So considering that they're not losing too much farm up against Newteam, it's
look at the graphs again.
Oh.
It's almost 1,000 advantage towards Newteam when it comes to net worth, and 7,500 in experience too. Although, as I was saying, it's not like a damning advantage or anything. Like, this doesn't win the game for Newteam. The laning stage as a whole is going quite well for their side, and now main going up, the Night Stalker is going to be running it. It's that first nighttime. He has level 4, 2 points in the Hunter, 2 points in the Void. Could very easily find kills if he isolates, especially Metrum on the Switch Doctor.
I would like it if they put a aggressive ward in that top lane so that Seedoy has a little bit of extra vision and just manages to get those voids off, because sometimes with the Night Stalker you can be fogged. It's a little bit annoying, but It's got to happen sometimes. I would like to see it just behind the tower, so that if they wanted to try and go for the tower dive, then they can. Because it's a Night Stalker. He's so fast, he's so tanky. Tower damage really isn't
Bottom lane, Wraithfire Blast going into Shachlo with the chilling touch over onto the Doom. They still don't have enough damage. That Scorch Earth region is ridiculous. And now even trade ahead onto the Ancient Apparition. He loses in that HP exchange, and now Doom is back up to a serviceable amount of HP. Mid lane, Undershock's going to be trading blows with Aphonia. Jaunty the Orb by the Puck is going to look for the 6-minute rune top, so simultaneously harassing Quap as well as securing that rune for herself. And although the lane is pushing in, they might have sustained a little bit of tower damage. Goddamn is there to help fix that. Goldblack is going to try to deny the rune away from the Puck. Not going to happen. Picks up that illusion and will be able to sustain Puck's self. And now back to the lanes as everything resumes. Undershot cover has made a rotation down towards this bottom lane. This time around, they'll have the damage to kill off Doom. Scorched Earth or not.
Suido in the top lane, he wanted to try and go for a dive.
Satchel is going to go down. Ancient Apparition gets a kill on the Doom, and now back to that top lane.
Yeah, there was going to be a jump onto the Witch Doctor, but they had to TP in the Puck to make sure that Seedway couldn't get that solo kill. This is what Night Stalker does. Just by himself, if you leave him alone and there's a support nearby, he's just going to jump right onto the support. And he's going to try and jump onto Dread this time. The Puck is not here to help him out, just a stun by our Witch Doctor to keep that Night Stalker in place. But I love the aggressive play that they're doing in this top lane because it's hurting the farm a little bit for the Spectre because he always has to worry that, hey, am I going to be jumped on by a Night Stalker, yes or no? So he always has to double think when he wants to try and farm.
And is also just absorbing the support's time, and it's going to make it a lot easier for them to go for kills on the Shechlo down towards bottom. Although they probably did need the Queen of Pain rotation, and they did need the Queen of Pain rotation to eventually get it. But up towards top, they get a Void onto Metrum with the Brain Set. This Witch Doctor is so low. He gets a couple of lucky cast bounces, but still the Night Stalker will run forward. He just needs one more Void to secure this kill. Under tower, the Salve is there, but the Void from long range will secure the kill. In the meantime, down towards bottom lane, that's a killing spree for No Fears. They snag another pickoff onto the Doom. This time around, the Chilling Touch just by itself was more than enough.
Yeah, Doom CS is pretty good though. He's sitting on 32 CS, but he has died 3 times, and you never really want that in that safe lane just because you want to deny as much farm as possible to the carry. And because recovery, well, what's the player name for Wraith King on the bottom lane?
FN.
He's got 4, FN. He's got 4 assists, and he's sitting on a crap load of gold. Would you be looking into maybe an armlet for Wraith King's first item?
I'd love to see a Hand of Midas for him. Although Hand of Midas is generally seen as farming item up towards the top rune. Sonic Wave. The man fight will favor Undershock, if only just. But yeah, back to Wraith King's item progression as Queen Pain TP's back towards base. The Hand of Midas will help him accelerate when it comes to his levels. And getting that second point, third point later into his ultimate is so very important for the Wraith King. This game, more than most, it'll make Hellraisers very hesitant about dooming or committing any sort of spells to dropping that first life of the Wraith King. I think he's doing well enough to warrant that pickup. Really just up to personal preference. If he wants to fight now, the armlet you're talking about or the blink would definitely be the option. Depends on his playstyle, or how he wants to play the next 5 to 7 minutes of this game.
Yeah, the only reason I'm pushing
top lane,
for
dive onto Dread. With the Chilling Touch, the Spectre melts.
Oh god, Seedway though, there was going to be a lot of TPs. There's the lift. Can they actually get the kill to Seedway? He's pretty tanky, but do they have the damage for it? There's no more disables. They do manage to nuke him down, and Slashlow moving at the speed of going to go for a Doom onto No Fear. So AA, he's going to lose his life very quickly, and that's Godlike. Oh, he actually gets the Nightmare off, but No Fear is still doomed. No chance for denying Godlike. He's safe under the tower, but Slashlow just going to kind of sleep there for an extra couple of seconds. They still managed to get the 2 kills, which is most important.
Yeah, he'll be able to walk out there safely. Lane Ward will be placed down by the Rubik, and with 4 Dire Heroes up towards top, they're not going to be able to contest. But this is time where Wraith King's farming up, where Queen of Pain's also doing quite well against the Puck. The direct matchup, although it is pretty even, is slightly tilted in the favor of the Queen of Pain, especially after that man fight up around the top rune spot. The first usage of Sonic Wave that I've seen in this game is going to secure Undershock a nice lead. Wraith King is going to end up going for drums, actually. Now, that's an option that we didn't consider. It's going to be somewhat of a middle ground between the armlet and the blink, I'd say. It's going to be a nice fighting item, offers them some good stats, accelerates your farm a little bit, and in general it's just a good item. I don't think it's super optimized for anything, but it's also not bad at anything either, and will help a lot for the team if they decide to go for these early dives, and maybe they just have enough movement speed on this Night Stalker especially to run down the enemy team that Wraith King doesn't need to blink himself yet.
Yeah, it would be nice though, because you had to think, right? Normally, if you pick up drums, it's just because you want some extra stats.
He's
and
TPing top, and he's going to put that drums to good use as they go towards Metrum as well as goddamn. They'll throw this down on the Poor Witch Doctor. He gets brought down by the Scream. Hasted Undershock chasing forward. Dread will look for the Spectral Dagger through the trees and will succeed on getting to the other side, but can he get further away? Under his tower, you'd expect him to be safe. They know that Dread's around the corner. They'll bring down Goddamn with a Brain Sap earned. A couple more auto attacks. Double kill for Undershock. Doom over onto the Queen of Pain, but the Ice Blast lands and a crit from FN is going to mean that Doom will also die. Undershock is low. He's going to need a deny from his team. They'll cancel cast that one. Wraith King will deny his ally. And now Dread's juking through the trees. He has a little bit more Spectral Dagger. Going to eat one of those trees. Still has that Quelling Blade working. Can they catch him out, or will they even try? It looks like they expected him to be a little bit deeper, and he will succeed in his retreat, but across the board, that's going to be a nice trade for the new team's side. The only casualty was the Queen of Pain, but she's denied, so no income for the enemy team.
That was a very questionable TP in by the Doom, because you have to look at all those heroes there, and you can't just fully rely on that Scorched Earth to keep you alive. There was an Ancient Apparition there. He should have seen the level 6 onto it. Maybe he wasn't expecting him to get the 6. God damn, though.
Yeah, nothing you can do is the Rubik there. Once that Fiend Script connects, Ice Blast going to completely miss. They sent that and expected him to last a little bit longer, but Rubik just way too squishy. Now Dread going to use his phased movement through the trees to get out a little bit further towards safety, but Hellraisers are just losing all of these early skirmishes. I can really understand what is going through Doom's mind there. The game's not going well. You have the Doom spell. You want to use that as frequently and as soon as you can to get benefit for your team, and under normal circumstances that would have worked if he had any sort of backup. But Aphonia around the corner, they have the long silence on, they have the Brain Sap, they'll just smack down this puck if they're not careful. The damage is almost there. Can Aphonia get out here alive? Will drop the Dream Core, running away with the Death Ward. Cedo will be able to cancel out with the Void, but with the Illusory Orb, Aphonia will get the kill, but at the same time dies to Undershock with one more auto attack. That's a double kill for your Queen of Pain. A 1-for-2 trade across the board. The Ice Blast will fly through again, not going to do much of anything, but I mean the Ancient Apparition's really happy right now. He's getting farm all the while, and the rest of his team is taking good exchanges. Mid lane, Hellraisers are going to group up, trying to secure a little bit of farm, but it looks like new team want to crash this as well. Queen of Pain's going to partner up with the Bane. Even without the Sonic Wave, even without the Fiend Script, they could very easily kill some of these heroes if they get stuck alone. But now smoked up, Hellraisers are going to make the move to kill this Ancient Apparition as he solo farms down towards bottom lane.
This is beautiful execution of play coming out from Newteam, because they're making so much use
down
of their
towards
time.
bottom lane. They really want to kill this AA, and they're going to get a kill for their Spectre, no less. And that's going to be earned charges for their side, and that's really going to help out. Every time Hellraisers have their ultimates, they need to make moves like that and just keep on going for the aggressive plays to get them back into this game. 13-5, it's going to be a long road to recovery, but we'll have to see if they can make it.
My goodness, there's almost no time to say anything this game, because both teams are just hunting for kills. Now we do have Undershock here as well. Let's Goldblack ready under the cover of smoke, but there's 3 heroes. There's also a Doom available. Doom onto Goldblack, so no chance for him to really do anything. And Undershock gonna back up, gonna be lifted up by the Rubik as well. Pull back to Goldblack, will die. Actually manages to pop a what?
That was Rubik's Nightmare.
Oh, okay.
And so Goddamn just threw it on him and pulled it off immediately. Goddamn going to be right-clicked down by the Wraith King. Ice Blast will be lethal if it weren't for the Queen of Pain coming in to steal the kill with the Scream. Poor Witch Doctor can't heal with that Voodoo Restoration. Might tick down. Let's see. It's going to be close. That last tick will do him in. Now Shatzel is going to be run down by Seedoy. It's Night Stalker's happy time right now, and Wraith King will get the kill with Wraith Fire Blast. They get the Bane. That's nice, but they have to pay dearly for it as they stuck around maybe a little bit too long inside the enemy woods. New team are just so incredibly map mobile that you have to be so swift in your rotations in order to avoid just being overrun. Aphonia down towards bottom lane, going to be silenced up, voided up. Oh no, not actually silenced. Sedoy is going to open up with the Void instead, so no way to cancel that TP, but still forcing out the 75 gold and the TP cooldown for the puck for really nothing more than a little bit of mana.
God. Hellraisers. I'm really feeling sorry for them right now. They've had almost no space this game to get any sort of farm. The puck is doing the best out of the lot, but he's still nowhere near that Blink Dagger yet. He needs a couple of kills to finish that off. Otherwise, he needs probably 5 minutes of dedicated farm for him to grab that. And then once the puck has the Blink Dagger, then it's going to be able, that means Hellraisers will be able to fight a little bit more easily, just because the puck will be able to get in from the backside with the Dream Coil, followed up by pretty much everything puck has to throw out. So the Hellraisers, I think they just have to slow down the game, put down defensive wards, try and find these ganks before they happen, and just move constantly in a safe manner. Just group up together, don't get caught separately, because you're going up against so many mobile heroes that they can't afford to lose anybody at this point. Whereas Dread, he has to do whatever he can. Just farm as much as possible and try not to die. That's his main
Yeah.
main job right now.
It really is such a fragile game for Hellraisers, but they have a smoke, they have a lift onto Gold Black, they have the high ground vision there, so they're able to get this kill silenced up, the Bane can do nothing, and it looks like they'll be able to retreat safely. So that was a successful movement coming up from Hellraisers, and they need to keep on doing that, but these smokes that they're using to get these kills every time they have those ultimates available are a limited resource. They only have one left, and I'm not sure what the cooldown is after they use that one smoke, but it's going to be pretty long, and the items are starting to flow for Newteam. You have the Aghanim Scepter for the Queen of Pain done, and Wraith King is pooling a lot of gold. I'm tempted to say this is a Radiance Wraith King for FN.
Radiance, or maybe something along the lines of Assault Cuirass, maybe, to help out the Night
If he
Stalker.
wanted AC, he'd bought the Hyperstone or Plate Mail by now.
He could be just hanging onto the gold, and we'll see eventually what he wants to go for. But yeah, Radiance will definitely be viable as well. Although, honestly, it's not going to help with the mischance, but just the burn in general. They're very, very squishy heroes. They will really melt to a Radiance if he does pick that up too.
Yeah, and he's in these fights so frequently and has his level 2 ultimate up and running. The Wraith King's far enough ahead to where I think that's a, yeah, as you said, a viable option. Now the tier 1 tower in mid's going to fall. For as aggressive as Newteam have been playing, they haven't been transitioning that into tower objectives very frequently. So now the game's going to slow down a bit as, yeah, they'll take down this tier 1, and that is going to be almost enough gold for the relic to be purchased by recovery, and it looks like that is going to be his purchase. He's sending that out to the secret shop, unless he does decide for something else, but it looks like that is going to be the purchase.
Yeah, well, we'll see. What's the courier want to pick up? Yeah, so it is going to be the Radiance build-up. I also wanted to say, if you pick up a Radiance, it'll be harder for Puck to just try and go for those blink escapes once he does finally pick up the blink. So it is also a annoying item for the Puck when that does manage to come online. Godblack, he's on a mission. Oh, he puts a ward down. If you're going to get caught, though, they're going to have to commit a Dream Coil to get the kill onto Godblack. So they do get a kill onto the Bane, but at a pretty hefty cost. They have to use their ultimates, and now that means that... Oh, no! Oh,
well, they know it's there. It's just going to cost them the extra sentries. So that stings a little bit for Metrum, but in the end, not going to matter too much. Up towards top lane, Dread going to be dropping low, turns for a dagger onto Undershock, and Undershock doesn't quite have enough DPS. It doesn't quite know where the enemy team is to where he feels comfortable going for that dive onto the Spectres, so he won't succeed. But still, Newteam are maintaining map control and just getting more. It's I don't know, style of draft that they have. Once they have control, it's so very hard to seize that away if you're Hellraisers. But the big tool that's going to help them do that is Euphonia's Blink Dagger has it now, and they have a smoke available in the shop, although I'm not sure if it's been purchased yet. They have it on Metrum. So now it's time for Hellraisers to make the big move. 20 seconds till they have Dream Coil. It looks like those cooldowns are going to line up very nicely for them to be able to start a fight on their own terms, and Hellraisers might be able to get a big initiation. Up until this point, it's just been like those single pickoffs, mostly onto Godblack.
Yeah, they probably have to put another jungle ward into the jungle to catch out a little bit of extra vision onto NT, because any sort of vision is going to help out the Puck, because you really want that perfect initiation. Now, it looks like they're going to go down bottom. They see 3 heroes, but where's the damage? It's just a Puck and a Doom so far. They're going to need everybody to come down into the fight. The Death Ward is going to play a crucial role. Now, let's see how this fight's going to go on. They do throw a stun onto Sasha just to be a bit of a nuisance here. Recovery in the front line. He will be stunned up. They will get the
got to the back line. Stream Close Silence combo onto Seedor. The Night Stalker is going to be dropped low. The Sonic Wave thrown over onto Aphonia. The Puck is also at very low amounts of HP. The Urn Tick is not going to be lethal. He'll be able to jaunt down to low ground as Undershot gets doomed up. The Queen of Pain trying to run away. Will the Puck be able to turn and get a kill onto the Ancient Apparition after all? Will silence him, no fear. They'll look for the deny, but unsuccessfully so. A big fight for Hellraisers as they completely pick apart Newteam and just spread that out in a really nice fashion. They are able to focus down sports, and the Puck initiation is really what made that happen. I'm not sure if they weren't expecting the Blink Dagger or not, but Aphonia finds a really good angle, and immediately after the fact is going to transition to a lot of gold for the team, especially Doom now as he works towards a BKB.
It really felt like they didn't know that there was going to be a Blink Dagger on the Puck right now. The Newteam probably thought that they were a little bit further ahead than they actually were, and the Blink Dagger just caught them off guard, because Newteam at this point, they could have just done anything so far. They were brute forcing their way through the game, so they were expecting to do the same for the bottom tower. All of a sudden they got caught by Blink Dagger, and they realized, this is a little bit of a different situation. We can't get our spells off, we're stuck in place, we have to fight them. But everyone on Hellraisers just jumps on them. So I think now that Newteam knows the Blink Dagger is up, they're going to be playing a little bit more cautiously, and if they can get their act together, they can keep on going with the momentum that they had earlier. but they just have to be careful constantly of that puck initiation. And also, you can't underestimate Salshow's Doom. If he dooms the Queen of Pain before she could do anything, that's one major damage source down the drain.
The Doom did come out after the Sonic Wave, but a lot of those big ultimates from Newteam just weren't there, or they weren't on the appropriate targets. The Puck is the one that had that Sonic Wave. It was solo on Teufonia. They really needed that kill in order to make that all worthwhile, but since Puck took so much hate and still survived, was able to get an earn charge, I believe, from the Spectre and bottle up on the sidelines, could go for the secondary reinitiation. Right now, the Rubik and the Puck are going to be spotted out, but another big pickup after that fight is a blink on the Rubik, as goddamn has been... I don't know, just silently sitting in the backlines, and just after one good fight has managed to find that farm. It's pretty impressive, and one of the advantages of being behind, if that makes any sense, is when you do turn around those fights, you get so much gold income, especially for your supports. Wraith King has his Radiance delivered towards himself, and they spot out the Wraith King as he's farming up. This is a difficult sell, but it is possible since he is alone. They're going to jump onto him, drop the Spectre, and everything for this kill, and he didn't even have his reincarnation up after that last fight. And even if he had that reincarnation, I think he dies the second time, but that's very fortuitous for Hellraiser, so he'll be able to quickly transition into a tier 1 tower push now.
I think if he had the reincarnation, then the rest of the team would have TP'd and they would have tried to go for the counterplay, but when they realized it was on cooldown, they probably thought, hey, he's going to die anyway, let's try and do something else. So Undershock as well as Nofi is going to be in the bottom lane, pushing this tower a little bit, whereas the rest of their team in the jungle, just doing all sorts of things. Seedoy is still getting farmed very close to the Aghanim Scepter, and that's going to be huge during nighttime because they will have unobstructed vision, and that means that Hellraisers won't be able to just pull off you could say a jump like they normally would during the nighttime, because the Night Stalk will give them so much vision that they'll see it coming and they'll be able to get the initiation that they want, rather than having Hellraisers go for the jump in themselves.
Yeah, and that's only going to be a couple hundred gold till he has this. By no means is this an underfarmed Night Stalker. He's doing better than the Spectre when it comes to net worth. But Witch Doctor down towards bottom, going to take a big brunt of damage from the Queen of Pain, and will take down to the Ancient Apparition. Successful pickup coming out from Newteam. And although it's not a huge deal that the Witch Doctor dies, he's been mostly the sacrificial support for Hellraisers. It's still constant income going their way, and they're getting those big pickups. Hellraisers are not super far behind at this point. The difference in net worth is actually pared down quite significantly, so this could be anybody's game, but since it's nighttime now, and since we have a Darkness level 2 available for the Night Stalker, with that Ags up, at least for the next couple minutes in this game, it feels like Newteam have a very significant advantage.
I think their advantage is going to start running thin when the Spectre picks up the Radiance, because he's getting very close to it, and they're not really putting pressure onto Dread, so if they don't kill him soon, next time he haunts, there's a high chance he's going to have the Radiance, and that's going to be a lot of burn damage onto Newteam. And they still have a couple of tanky heroes, but you just don't want to deal with the burn in general. And in the mid lane, it looks like the Puck is going to be the primary target, so Appa Ninja blinks out in time. I think he saw that coming, unless he was just a coincidental blink.
No. I think that was just good game sense. He cleared out most of the creep wave, and he knew that somebody was rotating there, and whenever they pop Darkness, you have to be afraid of the gank, or at least at the back of your mind, it's nagging you that there might be a Night Stalker around the corner that's going to silence you. So I think that was just good game sense coming out from Fonia, and he's going to be a lot more survivable in the subsequent fights as he gets that Yule Scepter. Still about 800 gold away from that, however, is Radiant team going to take a tier 2 up towards top lane, and the tower pressure is really what's going to start doing Hellraisers in, as their map control is dwindling. They have a couple good wards out right now, but when Darkness is applied, those wards mean less and less. But now, they're going to have a Wraith King down this bottom lane. They can't really make the decision to jump until they see the Sports in mid, but they ping out the Sports, they know Recovery's alone, they'll get the lift up onto him, Reincarnation's going to be procced. TPs are there to tower, they want to react, BKB Popeye Shatchlow, they want to look for the second life, they have a Doom available, they don't need to spend it, they have the Death Ward, and goddamn's on a killing spree, as they'll be able to secure that kill onto the enemy safe lane carry. Really good gank coming out from Hellraisers. The awareness there to expect somebody to farm there, and not only expect somebody to farm there, but to wait until they know for sure that he doesn't have backup right behind him, as they saw the Ancient Apparition as well as the Bane walking by this Observer Ward. So all things around that was well executed. Now they're going to take the tier 2 tower down towards bottom lane, or at the very least drop it low. Blink back, they have the Wraithfire Blast and Gull Black, lift him back up, the burst damage is immense, can't even get off the Brain Sap.
God, that was such a beautiful jump there by Hellraisers. The plan before, actually, before they got the kill onto the Wraith King, was they were going to use Dread as bait. He was down the bottom lane farming pretty close to the tower. They were hoping that there would be TPs by Newteam to probably bring in 2 to 3 heroes to try and kill him, and then they would have counter-jumped with all their other heroes. But getting the Wraith King instead, because it was just farming in the lane, was huge. It's going to get rid of a little bit of farm, it's taking his presence off the map, and it means that Newteam can't really fight without him, because they need that Wraith King to be there to do the damage, and also the Radiance burn too. Looks like there was a bit of a tussle in the top lane. Dread going to be healed up by the Witch Doctor. Bit of a dagger still on the backside. Undershock, he's doing okay. He's got an ultimate orb. Is this hinting towards a Hex?
Yeah, it should be Axe up for the Queen of Pain, or a Lincoln Sphere. It depends on how annoyed he is at the Doom. And I think Lincoln's is probably slightly more likely, although you can't knock a Scythe of Ice pickup on a Queen of Pain ever. Like, no matter where it is in your build path, it's always okay. I think Lincoln's might be a little bit more optimized for this game. Depends on what Undershock feels he needs, and I think that survivability is probably pretty high up on his list.
Yeah, that's true as well. So I wouldn't argue if he wants to go for a Lincoln Sphere pickup. And also, you can use the Lincoln Sphere and another teammate. If they get jumped on, Undershock pops the Lincolns onto them, and that's potentially a wasted spell by Hellraisers. But I think he'll probably prefer to keep that to himself, because he knows he's very important and he needs to be alive for the majority of the fights. If he can get a double Sonic Wave because a fight happens for more than 40 seconds, then great. That's going to be another chunk of damage thrown out into Hellraiser's way. Now, it's nighttime. They did pop the Darkness by Seedoy. Now, what do they want to do here? Looks like they want to go for a dewarding mission, because he has a gem on him, but he's very hesitant to go up onto the high ground, it seems.
Right now, the side of Hellraisers have to play so defensively, although he's not going to go over and get that D-ward successfully now. When Darkness is popped, take a look at Hellraiser's vision. They can hardly see their hands if they extended their arms. Right now, Darkness is going to expire, and they'll feel a lot more comfortable now that their wards actually are effective. But when that Darkness is popped, they immediately clump up, and that has several advantages. It means that Hellraisers aren't getting as much income, they're farming as a team instead of as individual units across the map, and also allows Newteam to feel very comfortable to get a little bit of extra gold income that way. And it's just the psychological pressure of playing against a Night Stalker that's having a really good game.
So it looks like we're going to go for a bit of a tower trade here. Bottom T2 tower for a top T1, and I think the Hellraisers, just getting any tower is beneficial to them. Their team is so starved for gold, and once they start getting an item advantage, then they'll be able to fight toe-to-toe against Newteam, regardless of what heroes they're going to be up against. So looks like they're going to try and go for the T2 as well, whereas the rest of Hellraisers, I think heading into the Roche Pit, it seems like they are. So they want to go for the Aegis. They're going to give up a T2 though. What are your thoughts about this?
It's a trade we see time and time again, the offlane or safe lane tier 2 for the Roshan, depending on if you're on the Radiant or Dire side going for this Roche. And it looks like Hellraisers want to contest this. They really don't want to give away this Aegis, as that would have been really nice for a new team. That tier 2 tower up top lane is entirely expendable. This is such a hard fight for them to take. They have perfect vision around the corner. Shashel's going to pop his BKB, gets Fiend Script canceled by the Telekinesis coming up from Rubik. Goldblack will try and turn for the Brain Sap, but he will be Fade Bolted down. Zadoy is going to start taking a lot of damage from this Spectre as he is isolated. That Desolate doing a lot of work. They'll kill him off. A huge Sonic Wave secures the double kill for Undershock. Queen of Pain still on the high ground. They'll kill off Shashlo. Undershock is doomed, but still fighting to the best of his ability. This Queen of Pain might not even go down to the Doom damage unless Aphonia can get a little bit more, but with the Spectral Dagger, they're forced to deny him out. Recovery is going to throw Wraithfire Blast. FN not going to be able to land that onto the puck, as the puck was able to jaunt that one through. Now Wraith King is a bit on the stuck side. His Blink Dagger is constantly cancelled by that Radiance Burn coming out from Dread, and this is a slow and painful death to watch, but it is going to be the death of Wraith King. Wraith King did secure the gem, will be able to blink out afterwards. The burn wasn't there, and Night Stalker will buy back. The end tally for that fight, it's an absolute bloodbath. Will favor Hellraisers.
That was a very interesting play by Recovery. Probably just playing a little bit more defensive, scared that he would die the second time. He could have potentially just chased after the Spectre, because you compare the HP of these two heroes, and Spectre was down to half, and he would have been back to full, and his Blink Dagger would have been off cooldown, so maybe just chasing him back a little bit to force the Spectre all the way back to Fountain would have been good too, but...
On the flip side, FN was completely alone. And he didn't know where Spectre's allies were, although, like, with our all-seeing eye from the spectator seat, we probably could see that that's a play that he would have been able to get away with.
It was just a puck, though. That was the thing. Puck
oh, no, just a puck.
So, just a puck. He was pretty low as well.
Puck can still turn for that Silence Illusory Orb, and then that puts Spectre and Wraith King on a very even plane when it comes to their HP pools relative to their tank ability, and at that point you rely on getting crits for FN, and that's never something you want to rely on. They're going to go into the Roshan, so although it is a costly Roche, Newteam are able to get it, and in the meantime, Rubik is going to die to the Queen of Pain as he gets isolated and just burst down by that Sonic Wave. Didn't see that on camera, but the Roche is going to end up falling, and he's securing Aegis of Immortal for Undershock. Link is done. Newteam have a good amount of momentum, but this game is so very close to even. If we take a look at the graphs, the net worth advantage is not there for either team, really, after that fully update, so it'll probably be about 0 in experience. For all intents and purposes, we can call that a 0 graph too, although it is slightly in the favor of Newteam.
Now we have Cedo with a double damage rune, and he does manage to spot out Sasho, but remember there's a BKB charge. Do you feel like he's just going to go in and try and pop the BKB?
They're going to jump in. Ice Blast is there. They have a Sonic Wave, and he's going to go down. BKB or not, wouldn't have saved his life there. Just way too much damage, and that burst effect from the Ancient Apparition goes through BKB. You have the Sonic Wave to go through, and then just the right clicks is way too much. He was overwhelmed. He didn't expect that. That's one of the advantages of having that Night Stalker on your team. You see everything, and Doom in that situation sees nothing. He had no idea. The ward coverage for Hellraisers is non-existent because of the gem. FN's very deep behind enemy lines because Wraithfire Blast stolen, but the rest of his team, and now that he joins them, will be able to take down that tier 2.
So now that Hellraisers has this mid lane completely taken away from them, what do they do now? Do they just have the Spectre be the one to be mainly farming outside of the base and the rest of them just kind of stick around? We've got our Wish Doctor here. I met him in this top lane just farming away for his next item. He has a Ogre Club. Is this hinting towards a BKB? Oh god, are we crashing?
I'm not crashing.
Okay, I think it's just me then.
Alright. Yeah, for the Night Stalker, I'd expect a BKB pickup. Even if it's just the cask and the telekinesis coming out from the Rubik that's bothering Cedo inside these fights, maybe a little bit from the Puck too when it comes to that burst and the Dream Coil break. It's still enough to warrant the pickup, and he's going to be able to move a lot for you. So I think that's a good call. BKB pickup for Night Stalker would be good. However, this game I don't think has nearly as much merit as Spectre. Although she is going to be doing a little bit of physical damage, a lot of that's going to come from a Manta style down the line. You can only halberd one of them, and it'll help with his survivability, but it won't help the team nearly as much. So we'll just have to see. Maelstrom the pickup for this Wraith King. Interesting choice coming out from FN. This is a very popular build in high-level pubs where you go for the Radiance, the Blink, and just a mass amount of damage. And we'll have to see if it pays off here. This is a build that's meant to fight now. Although his survivability is very low, he relies on having that ultimate up, and it will be up very reliably since he's a level 18 hero.
Well, this all of a sudden forces Hellraisers to somehow have to deal with the Wraith King without having to expend their important spells onto him, so they can kill him, that's great, but then the whole team's going to be slowed, and that's where Newteam could just jump onto Hellraisers. So it's going to be important for Hellraisers to get the right positioning, have someone somehow isolate the Wraith King, whether it be from maybe a stolen Fiend's Grip, or just constantly stunning him with the supports, and the rest of your team just going onto the rest of...
They really need the Scythe on the Puck, I'll be honest.
They do.
Yeah, because the Yule's Scepter for the Puck is nice, and although it is good for delaying the damage that Wraith King's putting out, Puck also kind of needs to save that Yule's for himself. The long-duration silence from the Night Stalker is terrible to play against. Even at daytime, it's annoying, like 3 seconds, but 8 seconds silence for a Puck is pretty much a death sentence. They're going to find Sheshlo in mid, slow him down with the dagger, but this Doom's a little too tanky and has a little too much backup for Queen of Pain to go for that. So Undershock will just make the reserve play and back out. But he can play that aggressive since he has the Aegis, since he has the Lincolns. There's really not much threat of Undershock dying, and if he does, they're going to have to spend so many big spells to get that first life that Newteam would probably still be able to take the engagement afterwards.
Yeah, but it's also annoying, right? Because it means that that's one hero that you can't really focus anymore. If you put energy into trying to deal with the Queen of Pain first, you're going to have to deal with her again anyway. And it's the same with the Wraith King.
Ooh! Sonic Wave Snipe on the Courier!
That was a
well
nice
done there.
snipe. What was on that? Was that a...
Heart of Tarrasque recipe for the Spectre.
Ah, well that's going to hurt the Spectre quite a bit. That means that she's not going to have that heart for quite a while.
Almost 3 minutes. She would have had it about now if that Courier hadn't been taken out. And not only is that a heart denied, it's also a little bit of gold for Newteam, especially good for the supports, as you're going to have the complete Glimmer Cape up for the Bane, and Ancient Apparition is going to be closer and closer towards his Aghanim Scepter. So Newteam are still sitting with a good amount of momentum, even though Hellraisers are close when it comes to items. A lot of that has to deal with the fact that Spectre, although she is going to pick up that Reaver inside the base, and will have a good amount of effective HP, her items aren't meaning nearly as much as what's being picked up by the Wraith King now. Although, maybe in the future that'll change once she gets stuff like Mantis Style and bigger items for the spec.
Yeah, I think the issue with running a Spectre, right, is that she's not a hero like a PL or an anti-mage where if they get a couple of items, they can jump on lone heroes. She can try, she just doesn't really have the best chase for it, and a lot of the damage is going to be from the Radiance Burn, it's not going to be from right clicks. So, it's if you die to a Spectre, it's like being hit by a spoon constantly till you die. That's how a Spectre kills people. It's just
This is a really sharp spoon.
Oh, well,
And it's
I
on
guess
fire.
it's a spoon that's hot.
Yeah, but it's going to be very good at killing out these supports. And on the backlines, they're going to jump onto those supports. No Fear is going to be obliterated. Witch Doctor is going to get that last hit. Now chasing forward for Gold Black. The Nightmare is going to buy them some space, but now Dread is going to get that Nightmare pulled off him as they change targets onto Seadoy. They'll jump on the Night Stalker. He pops his BKB. Should be able to secure a little bit more space for him, but will it secure his retreat in its entirety? Now that he has the Hunter Knight activated with that Darkness pop, he will. And now Recovery is going to turn around the corner. Gets lifted up instantly by Goddamn. Thrown away. The level Death is going to get the Amplifier on him, and Recovery is dropped down incredibly low. FN needs to get back into this engagement. He wants to proc that Reincarnation. Is going to lose it here. Sonic Wave over the top. They'll kill off the Witch Doctor. Fiend's Grip onto Dread. The Spectre is going to be dropped incredibly low and incredibly fast. Wraith King with the Wraithfire Blast will be able to secure that kill as the rest of the Dire team scrambles to retreat. Orb of Venom going to be dropped as Doom secures the gem. They will kill off that Night Stalker towards the sidelines. So although the trade in that fight is going to slightly favor Hellraisers before all of that, because they secure the gem, even though they lose their Spectre, I still think that's okay. The gem means so much this game.
Yeah, it's going to help them get a little bit of map control back, because you look at all of these aggressive wards set out by Newteam, and this is going to be spotted out easily. And
Blink up top lane. Cheslo is getting jumped by FN under his tier 3 tower. BKB popped. Will he get the crit? Lift up from Rubik in the nick of time. Goddamn is going to stun him under the tier 3. Reincarnation isn't up for 10 seconds, so if FN goes down here, that'd be awkward, but he's going to be fine. We'll be able to blink out of there if nothing else, and we'll blink TP. He's going to be A-okay back in base.
Yeah, it's still forced out a BKB charge though, and that's going to hurt Slashlight quite a bit because he's down to...
Was it already... Okay, no it wasn't. Yeah, that was the 7-second charge.
Yeah, so it's quite big for the Doom, because it means that he's not going to have the extra second duration for the next team fight, and as the duration goes down, it means that the immunity that he's going to have is obviously reduced, and there's a high chance that he could just get bursted down before he throws a spell.
Yeah, for sure. And although there is a lot of spells that do go through Match Community, even a lot of Wraith King's damage. Actually, hold that thought. Wraith King is going to be building into a Demon Edge item. That's terrifying. He wants to go for an MKB to stop that Radiance mischance. I'm really tempted to say that FN probably should have gone for a BKB. This is a risky item pick, I want to say. If it works out, it's going to work out amazingly for him, but if it fails... he's going to end up doing no damage in the fights because he's constantly lift up and paralyzing cats. But if he gets a couple lucky crits, these supports are going to evaporate. There's a point booster Ogre Club on Witch Doctor. That'll help a little bit. In fact, Rubik and Witch Doctor have identical HPs. But with MKB, that's not going to matter too much. Just look at the Doom. He's going to start drop down or getting dropped down. Will be forced to pop the BKB. Sonic Wave won't be lethal. And it looks like the Doom will survive for a little while longer. But Ice Blast... not gonna hit him. Jessel is going to avoid that, and another BKB charge down the tubes, but those don't matter anymore as now he's down to the 5-second charge. Pretty annoying for the Doom, all things considered. Use that 6 seconds of magic immunity, but things will slow down as it looks like Newteam are gonna wait out for the next Roshan. We'll be respawning in a little over a minute.
Yeah, that was actually going to be quite big if Roshan was available. That means that if they wanted to try and fight in the Rosh Pit, Slashly wouldn't have had magic immunity, and he could have been shut down before he could really do anything. So... it doesn't really hurt that much. It'll sting a tiny bit, but considering that the Rosh isn't up yet, it's pretty good for Hellraisers. Now, are they really going to try and go for a counterplay? They're probably checking the Rosh Pit just to make sure it's not being taken. They'll see it's empty, and they'll back up. Now, what's their decision to play now? Do they start playing Turtle Dota? They still look quite aggressive, and they still want to keep fighting, but they have to know that Newteam's always together, unless they can catch one of these heroes in the backside, but it's a Wraith King. I don't think you want to jump on him first.
There really isn't an opportunity. Hellraisers were half hoping, half not hoping that Newteam were going for Roche. It's not available or wasn't up yet, but as soon as it is, Nightstalker is going to catch Vishnota if they stay in the vicinity. Hellraisers have to play very risky Dota right now because they don't have vision appropriate for the fights that are happening now. They have one deep ward. This would be amazing if they were putting pressure onto the tier 2 mid or the tier 2 top and actively pushing towers. But when they're going for these plays around the Roach Pit and around where Newteam are, they'd much rather have different wards up. And they're going to try to abuse this and try to go for that tier 2 tower push, but this is definitely defendable by Newteam. Let's see what the play is going to be. They're going to go for the Roshan. They'll take this out very quickly, but tier 2 tower also going to fall at a pretty similar rate, although delayed now by the glyph.
I think at this point, taking Roshan will be an even bigger advantage because they can push out the mid lane and they can go high ground with this now, because it means that if they decide to put the Aegis on recovery, which I don't think it's going to be him, it'll be Undershock again, won't it? Yeah,
Undershock will snag the Aegis, but now they're TPing back. They want to defend this tier 2 mid, having just lost the tier 2 top. Blink forward by the Queen of Pain, looking for the slow onto anybody. Won't find them, as Hellraisers have already made a very swift retreat. Tier 2 for Aegis, it's a trade that we already theorized about earlier inside this game. Now it's going to come through, and again, it's probably going to be better for Newteam if they can make this push work. But if Hellraisers are able to repel this push and hold, that means that the Aegis meant very little to nothing, especially if it gets wasted, if Undershock dives a little too deep. But there's that MKP on the Wraith King. This guy is dishing. It's a stupid amount of damage. And now you have the Aghanim Scepter on the Ancient Apparition. Also a huge impact inside these fights. It's just not replicated by Hellraiser's item progression. Spectre, although she has a good amount of gold, hasn't picked anything up. Oh my goodness, goddamn, your HP pool is gone.
Yeah, it's on the deck as well. That's huge. That's going to be the gem taken away from Hellraisers.
That was a proper 3-shot. You got one crit in there. That chunked him down to like a third of his HP. That was disgusting.
Life of a support. You gotta get used to those big numbers, honestly. But now this is gonna transition into a mid push. There's no buyback on the Rubik as well. So having 2 lives plus also going up against 1 less hero up there is a huge advantage for Newteam, because that's a little bit less control and they can be a little bit more reckless in the team fights because you got 2 lives. If Queen of Pain or Wraith King dies, it's not that bad. And in the bottom lane, they're gonna try and jump on the Dread, gonna be hexed up. Can he actually get out? Oh my god, there's the Fiend's Grip as well, so he will definitely die. Easy.
He was looking for the Haunt out to the Wraith King, not going to succeed. But speaking of Wraith King, on the other side of the map, FN is going to be losing his reincarnation here, but now can look for the re-engages. Sadoy comes around the corner. They're going to chase forward. They catch vision onto Aphonia. They won't be able to get the silence. Blink away by Aphonia, and the puck will be back safe inside his base. As Newteam are now in a situation where they pressure high ground. There's buyback on the Spectre, but she really can't afford to use it now, as that would shoot her item progression in the foot, and she needs every bit of gold that she can muster at this point. Blink stolen by the Rubik, maybe that's going to help. The double blink on Rubik is going to make him a lot more survivable inside these fights, but Hellraisers, this is going to be a hard sell. Aegis is still available for the Queen of Pain. There's the Ice Blast, there's the blink, and Sonic Wave over the top of Doom. Metrum and Shashlo are going to hit the dust. There's a buyback available on the Doom. They buy back on the Witch Doctor, Spectre, and Doom simultaneously as they want to get back and defend this high ground. The Queen of Pain's a little too low, has that Aegis, mind you, but doesn't want to burn it here, as Hellraisers have been forced to spend so much gold. If Newteam can get out of here alive with most of their heroes, it's a massive victory. You can't understate it. Now, Night Stalker, although he has been slowed down, it looks like they want to go for round number 2. They're going to blink forward. FN doesn't throw the Wraithfire Blast. Doom will pop his BKB potentially a bit prematurely. Not going to have that for 50 seconds now. And Newteam are going to jump in. Undershock looks like he wants to burn his Aegis, but he also wants to burn Goddamn, and will be able to with the help of the Ice Blast and Wraith King throwing in that Fire Blast. Wraith King's ultimate's up and running, and they just can't stop this push. Hellraisers might just lose the game outright. Nightmare is going to be there, potentially a little bit unnecessary, but it doesn't matter. They have more than enough damage just to die back on Doom, and every hero that they kill now will not be able to join the fight again. That's at least one, if not more, sets of Barrett's going in the favor of Newteam.
That was such a beautiful execution there by Newteam. They had the vision from the Night Stalker, and they knew when they were supposed to go. They knew when to throw all their spells. And for Hellraisers, they're trying to do whatever they can to salvage their base, but they don't have the best heroes for it. They don't have the Keeper of the Light who can constantly throw out the horses. You have a Pug who's okay at it. You have a Spectre, but honestly, Spectre, for her to click creep wave, she has to be close to it. And honestly, if you want to put the Spectre that far out, be prepared to die. And he had to buy back for that as well, so it really cut into his gold. He's got the Radiance and a heart, but this is you compare the farm on this Spectre to the Wraith King, there's a huge gap between it. And recovery is unstoppable. You kill him once, you have to deal with him again, but you also have to deal with the rest of his team. And I don't think Hellraisers has the juice left in the tank to kill everyone, plus the Queen of Pain and the Wraith King twice.
Most everybody's a threat on the side of Newteam, and the same can't be said for Hellraisers. Goddamn. He's a blink telekinesis, unless he can steal like an Ice Blast or a Sonic Wave with his newly acquired Aghanim Scepter, is not going to be that impressive inside these fights, and also the Witch Doctor just can't get a good channel off. even if he could get a good channel off, it's only level 2 without Ags. The damage that it's going to be doing, especially to these tanky frontliners like the Wraith King and the Night Stalker, isn't going to be enough. So it's going to be a hard sell. Hellraisers need to make sure that they're executing at the top of their ability if they want a chance to come back to this game. I'm not going to say it's impossible, but this very well could be the end if they don't hold here. This will just be Mega Creeps, and this is double damage Wraith King too, as if his crits weren't hurting hard enough already. He has a Moon Shard, Consume Recovery, smacking away at this Tier 3 tower. They blink and Wraithfire Blast, Fade Bolt on to FN. He's going to be Glimmer Caped and Force Staffed away.
Honestly, if FN dies, I don't think he really cares. At this point, he's just saying, hey, if we get the objective, that's great. It's going to be Mega Creeps, or at least it's going to be the T3 tower down. So that's me the jump in. Now, they will get the kill under recovery, but it's going to slow down Heroes, Dread, and Sasha. They have to want the BKB, and Undershock tries to go in with the BKB as well to do some damage, but everyone is being chased away by NT. Now, will they be able to go for the counter initiation? They're just running away at this point. It feels like they're making them chase them all this way. AA will definitely go down, and Alpha Ninja manages to get the Hex onto our Wraith King, as well as the Queen of Pain has to blink out, snaps the coil as well. Cedo lifted into the air. They get the kill onto the Wraith King. That's huge. They lose the Doom in the process. Cedo dead as well. Gem on the deck. Queen of Pain going to go for a Sonic Wave. 3 here. He's still chasing. Alpha Ninja going to be throwing a silence onto Goldblack. They've got no detection, do they? He had to have used himself there.
Yeah, I don't think they had, I don't know, just enough time to get that off convincingly, and it was an unfortunate double click.
Was it? It had to be a hitbox.
They had
just accidentally hit the hitbox.
Either hitbox or double click.
Yeah, that had to be. Because they had vision of him.
They had the gem, yeah.
Yeah, so that's unfortunate. That really is. You got to be kicking yourself for not getting that kill. Even though it's just a Bane.
Yeah, it is just the Bane, and they maybe get something more important than the Bane's kill. They get the stolen Fiend's Grip out of that last fight. And Goddamn has an Aghanim Scepter. This Fiend's Grip could be pretty crucial, as there is no BKB on the Wraith King. So if he tries to hit Goddamn, maybe not realizing that he has the Ags up, or maybe he just forgets in the heat of the moment, that could completely turn the fight on its head. Now we're going to start seeing items picked up by the spec. Hellraisers have successfully made one hold, and that's going to transition that Aghanim Scepter on the Witch Doctor, and they're getting there. Although this is going to be a long road to recovery, and it has been for quite a while this game. It starts with the pick-off on Undershock if they can make this happen up top, but he has BKB and Lincoln. So the best case scenario, they force out the BKB, they're going to get the Fiend's Grip onto him. Do they have the burst damage in the duration of this Fiend's Grip? Maybe I underestimated the puck in the Rubik. Undershock's going to pop the BKB, blink out, and look for the TP. The physical damage won't be there. Zephonia won't be able to get close enough. So the Queen of Pain will survive, but it's a costly survival too, and it was a lot closer than I reckoned it would be.
That was a bit cocky by Alpha Ninja. He had a Hex available. It was not on cooldown. He never used it for that at all. So he could have thrown the Hex a little bit prematurely to make sure that the BKB never got off, but he didn't. So that bit of cocky play really cost him in getting that kill on the Queen of Pain.
Up towards top, Ice Blast is going to fly, and the puck will TP out, but meanwhile in the mid lane, they're going to get a Nightmare onto the Spectre. Dread is isolated without the team. They have the Death Ward in the sidelines, bouncing, doing a good amount of damage, but not enough to save his ally. They'll drop FN's Reincarnation, and Sedoya is going to be low. 100 HP, the Night Circle runs out of it. They don't have vision to secure that kill. Goddamn's going to be swiped down by FN. The gem's going to be dropped down onto the ground, and now Undershock's going to cut off Metrum. They'll try to run away with this Witch Doctor. They won't be successful, it seems. Another Wraithfire Blast and one more auto attack. A crit for good measure as recovery is going to put the Witch Doctor into the ground. Aphonia is going to be hexed up and Sonic Waved. And with that, Stolen Ice Blast, or was it a Stolen Ice Blast? No, that was actually just Ancient Apparition. They'll be able to kill off even more. Newteam have all their members up. The only one on Hellraisers that has buyback is that Puck, and it's Puck Rubik against the world, and they've decided that they can't take it. Good game well played is going to be called out in this first game of the 2-game series. It was a very pleasant game to watch. Newteam, especially executing at a very high level.
This is Hellraiser's first loss as well for the tournament, so it's going to be a little bit of a heavy blow for them, realizing there's still teams out there that can really give them a run for their money. Whereas for Newteam, they're going to be very pleased about this. They managed to take a first game off of Hellraisers, their morale will be high. So coming into the second game, they're going to be very confident with their plays. We need to see if it's going to transition into that second game, because even though Newteam might have a very good first game, there is still a chance that Hellraisers can come back into the A game and really give them a good game. But this game, though, what do you think the issue was for Hellraisers? I felt like the Doom pickup wasn't as efficient as it could have been.
Yeah, the Doom and the Puck weren't able to activate themselves nearly as quickly as they wanted to, and although they tried to make those rotations, they were largely unsuccessful in the early game. That's very unfortunate for them. I don't think Hellraisers are out of it by any means, but Newteam, if they're able to take a 2-0 victory in this series, it has a lot of implications for how they end up inside this group, so we'll have to see how that plays out in just a second. We need to get in the lobby pretty quickly as we're potentially under some time constraints, although the LAN has been heavily delayed. So sorry about that, guys. Nothing we can do about it. We'll be back with game number 2 in just a minute.